Welcome to Emergency Hearts Dispatches. This is a new show that Emergency Hearts Records is working on, where we interview artists and collaborators and do a deep dive on their music and art. My name is Time, and our first guest is SINE. She's an amazing artist, singer, drummer, and all-around musician. In this episode, SINE talks about Depeche Mode, production, fighting patriarchy, collaborating, self-expression, and a new project she has coming out with David J. Check out her latest album, Mantis Complete. Thank you to Awareness for the Music, and here's the interview. How did you end up an artistic dark wave artist? Like, what put you down this path? And I know you're a big Depeche Mode fan. You love Black Celebration, the albums. And SINE started in 2016. So I was wondering if you could just kind of tell the story of how you got into this genre and how this type of music speaks to you.
I would have to thank ultimately my older sister. I have two older sisters, and my oldest sister was the one that really got into Depeche Mode, and she had Cocteau Twins. That's where I first heard Cocteau Twins and things. But when I was a kid, growing up with her liking this kind of music, and she had her friends over and they had mohawks and they were wearing black and all this stuff. So I was kind of exposed to it, but it didn't like get me right away. You know, like I saw posters of Robert Smith on her bedroom wall and I'm like, what's wrong with this person? You know, because his hair's all messed up and his lipstick's all out of line and stuff. I didn't quite get it yet then. And it wasn't until I saw the Depeche Mode concert that I really wanted to know more about the music and everything about what Depeche Mode was and all the related artists. And they were some of the first bands that I really listened to because, you know, when you're a kid in single digits, you don't really pay attention to music or think, oh, I like a certain band. You just kind of listen to stuff. That was really my first love of like, wow, I really love music and I want to know more about these other artists like The Cure, Cocteau Twins, Erasure, The Smiths, Morrissey. You know, I just went down all those paths. And that's really what got me into it all was my older sister just kind of premising it for me and then bringing me to a Depeche Mode concert. So
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and here I am. In whatever form it left me.
Didn't you say that your sister kind of got away from this music, but you stepped into it more?
Yeah. So, you know, I think it was kind of like her little teen rebellion years or whatever. And she had her time. And then, you know, after she went to college and she started doing theater and stuff, I don't know, just kind of like faded for her, I guess. I mean, she still likes the music, but she doesn't follow them as closely as I do. You know, I always tell her, I'm a lifer. I'm going to be like this forever. I love it. I love the culture. I love the fashion. I love the electronics. I like the productions. Like, it's where I belong.
It's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing those stories. And it's cool that she planted those seeds and turned into SINE in 2016. So my next question was more about your creative process in the studio, like with production. You have a lot of hard-hitting synths. You play the drums. I think you have like an Akai keyboard, and then you use Ableton as well. I was wondering if you could just kind of talk about this and how it's changed over the years.
Yeah, what I currently compose on is I do use Ableton, which I love, and I have a Korg Tactile in my studio that I don't go on the road with because it's too big.
Yeah.
I really just like more compact things, but I use the Tactile as my controller, which I love, and I pretty much write with that. I'm not super hardware gear heavy as some people are, but I think I really like Ableton and the electronics and just the endless sounds you can get from any synth. Just adjusting it or, you know, putting it through a filter. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love Ableton. It's just limitless. It's full of possibilities as far as what sounds come out. And I feel like a lot of my music kind of happens on accident. I know that sounds really weird, but because I like to experiment a lot with noises, sounds, and just ambient, special effects, whatever. And sometimes I just run into things and go, ooh, I like that. And I keep it. And really, it's the further production with whoever I'm working with that just kind of helps make those sounds even better, or highlight them in a different way with mixing. So for me, it's just all about vibe and feel and what strikes me emotionally, I guess, and not in like a crying emotional way, but more of like a, wow, it's kind of like, it's how music hits you, even when you're listening to other people's stuff. I look for that feeling when I write. So that's, and Ableton's awesome. I love it. I've used Pro Tools before and it's fine too, but the limitlessness of Ableton is what I really love about it.
Yeah, you can just do so much with Ableton, and that feeling that you're talking about, it comes through in your music. Like, you can tell that you're working on stuff you're passionate about, and it sounds good to you, and it comes through, and I feel that too, so that's cool. Thanks for sharing that process. And then I was talking about, like, you were talking about collaborating as well. Can you talk about working with Sean Beavan on Control? He worked with Nine Inch Nails, kind of how, like, your process mixed with his process.
Well, when I went to Sean with the song, I really thought it would be a good one for him because it's got an industrial edge. It's also got aggressive lyrics, and I really love his production and just the artists he's worked with. It just all speaks for itself, really. What I did was I gave him my most completed demo of it, where I felt pretty good. And what he did was he kind of did some tuning with some instruments. He added some effects. He had a vocal effect that he said was kind of a Bowie-esque effect. And so I just kind of let him have free reign to do whatever he felt that the song needed or could amplify it better. And really, that was the process. It was fairly easy because I already liked his production anyway, so I had no doubts that he was going to come back with something amazing. Kind of, and I like to do that with people, honestly. Whenever I find someone to mix or produce, I usually, listen to their music and their work, and if I really like it, I don't have a lot of input for them because I know it's going to come out great. I maybe I have a lot of faith in people, but it hasn't gone wrong yet.
That's awesome.
That's pretty much how Sean and I worked as well. I just let him use his expertise because there's a lot to learn from him, and I love it. It's one of my favorite songs.
It's a great song, and then I love like one of your other collaborations with Adrian Sherwood, and he called you Perfectly Moody. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I even asked him. I said, "Can I use that quote?" And he's like, "Sure."
That's an awesome quote.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, so that was definitely, for me being a Depeche Mode fan and just fan of the industrial music, and he's done so much for them. So it was kind of an honor. Scott Crow from Emergency Hearts obviously is the one that hooked us up together, and I enjoyed working with him. Again, very easy. I just sent my work over to him, and he did it. And came back with like 3 different versions, and also did the same with I have the song Je Suis off of Mantis Complete. I have a version of it. I have the remix with Mark Stewart, but there's also another version of it with more vocals from Mark Stewart, and also with production from Adrian. I'm not sure when that's going to come out, but it's floating around out there in the audio sphere. Again, with Adrian, I'm not going to tell that guy what to do. He knows what to do. And so, and greatly, I loved his remix so much for SINE that I made a video for it, and really hope to work with him again. I know he's pretty heavy in the dub world, but I like dub music as well. So those kinds of influences are fun. And that's another reason why I really like working with Adrian.
Yeah, and your two styles work really good together because he has kind of this dark trip hop feel, kind of like Massive Attack, but then he has all this dub history and influence, like work with Horace Andy and everyone. So it's great. My next question was more about your lyrics, kind of where this process comes from. I really like your lyrics on like Need to Bleed and drugs. I like the messed up nowhere to go, your life out of control. You catch like these big feelings in your music. So I was wondering if you could talk about the lyricist process.
Well, I I really love lyrics in general. With all the bands that I like, I love lyrics, and mine are, I put out real feeling in my lyrics, and I like them to be aggressive, but sometimes sarcastic and even humorous. It's kind of, life is crazy and lots of things happen to us. And I feel like I'm a people and situational observer, I guess. Just going off my own experiences and also experiences from friends or even people that I don't know. You hear stories of just life happenings. And at times I feel that there's often this theme of a little bit of injustice or just undesirable things in life. And I guess I write a lot of my lyrics about things like that. It's kind of like my lyrics are aggressive, but they're empowering. So it's kind of like, look at like Need to Bleed very much is like, look at this person who's this eternal victim who's just always in control in a way. And there's so many situations like that where people are almost held captive by this victim mentality of either another person or themselves or whatever. So I tend to write about things like that. And same with the song Control, the whole my mission, your demolition, it's kind of like, I don't necessarily mean actual demolition, but maybe it's like that person who's being controlled looks at the controller as like, one day I'll get one up on you, and those are feelings that really happen in everyday life. I guess I like to call my lyrics more of like a fictional accounts of real life happenings, if that makes sense.
That's deep. I like that.
So but really it's where most of my lyrics come from. And even like the song Blurred that I did with Mark Pistol, that's probably one of the newest SINE songs that I've written. That one has a lot to do with things like social media and like politics and the way everyone says you should be. So I derive my lyrics from things like that. Again, it's kind of like a little bit of an injustice or things that you want to break out of. The first thing I say in that song is shut your mouth or they'll shut it for you. Because, come on, it happens every day. People express themselves and they get shut down, they get blocked, they get, the digital sphere just, someone back there takes something away. It's real. So again, I'm writing about real life situations. If you listen and read my lyrics, you may identify with it because it's about real life. But again, I'm not singing about anybody one in particular. I'm not singing about any kind of political movement, party, or whatever. Maybe some of those things would have influenced my lyrics, but ultimately it's just about the actual feeling that we have as humans. Sorry, that was a very long answer.
No, that was cool. That was awesome. It was really deep too. I think like one thing I'm hearing is that you're a listener. I think those are the best songwriters, are just people who listen.
Yeah. And sometimes it's too much, honestly, because I feel like nowadays everyone's a news source. Whether you're reliable or not, everyone's a news source. Everyone has their feed, and it sometimes becomes very overwhelming for me. And especially when I look at news or things that are pushed my way via, my feed or whatever from Facebook or Instagram or even Twitter, you name it, it's all horrifying. I don't know if it's just my feed, but I have a feeling that everyone's feed is horrifying. It's always about something that's terrible or something we should fear or about some murder.
The algorithm feeds that drama because it keeps people engaged. And yeah, we're all in these
Yes, and
algorithm bubbles.
yes, and we honestly, we need to be unaddicted to that feeling. To that feeling of like, oh, something terrible is happening. Oh no, what am I supposed to be scared of? You know, it's that thing on the news where they go, something in your refrigerator can kill you. Next after the break. You know, I mean, it's like they keep you hanging on because they use fear. And you know, I don't know, but those are things that I don't particularly care for as far as like what's happening to us. But it does fuel words for, I guess, the poetry that I put together that ends up possibly being songs, is because I see all these things and I take them in and I look at it deeper than like, oh, it's just news about COVID or whatever. It's about what is the intention behind that? It's control. It's whatever intent, you know, I don't see anything for face value. Everyone has an intention and all those news sources do. And so it's very hard not to, I guess, listen, but listen in a different way. Not listen in a way of like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Listen in a way of like, what is this information giving me? And how is it trying to manipulate me? I think is what we need to be looking at more. Again, it's just kind of what fuels my lyric content, and also I think my aggressive tone and maybe the way I sing, because I want people to take themselves back. That's a big thing about my music.
That's cool. Yeah. It's like listening with the heart and having like intellectual self-defense or something by the way the algorithm hits you and breaking that down. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the machines they're already telling us how to be. It's crazy.
Yeah, now they got AI sample snitching. That's the worst.
I mean, we can't get away from it. I think the only thing we can do is become the machines ourselves.
Yeah, it'll be hybrid very soon.
Yeah. Well, you know, we'll see.
Skynet, we can get a Skynet AI remix.
Yeah, exactly.
So my next question, I want to stay on the topic, I guess, of injustice, is that being that we live in a patriarchal world, it's hard to be a woman, and a woman of color is even harder. And this is all compounded in the entertainment and music world, as you know. I was wondering if you could explain how you navigate this realm and tips you may have for other women artists.
Well, that's a very good question. And, you know, it is really hard. Whenever I even like talk to Kirst, my partner, about it, you know, I tell him, really, sometimes I feel like when women talk about it, they look like they're bitching, they're divas, they're whatever. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous, honestly, because we're not being divas or bitches. We're trying to make people aware that it's real, you know, that we do get held back. We do get ignored. It's not just, you know, women of color. It's all women. I mean, every female musician from the bottom all the way up to the top will have a similar story, maybe on a different level, but a very similar story. And I have been in that position where I have not been taken seriously, or, you know, I used to play drums for a band, and I think the funniest thing I ever had said to me was right after I got off stage, literally right after I got off stage, this person approached me and said, "Are you really playing the drums?"
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I don't know how you fake it. Like, well, you just watched me playing, actually hitting the drums. Like, I was playing an acoustic drum, for God's sakes. You know, those things aren't quiet. So it's things like that. Or I would meet someone and say, oh, yeah, I play drums. And they go, oh, you're in an all-girl band?
Oh, geez.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous. And you know, it's few and far between. I will say it doesn't always happen, but these are the things that happen to female musicians. They don't get taken seriously. And there's nothing wrong with all girl bands. Like, I love all girl bands, don't get me wrong. But just the comment is kind of like, well, I can play with other people too. You know, it's like, I don't have to be just in this girl section that you put me in or whatever. You know, that's why I've always been, I don't know, I don't like the, I'm a chick drummer, I'm a girl drummer. And, you know, yeah, I do hashtag that female drummer and stuff on Instagram because, I mean, let's face it, people look for that specifically under that name, you know, so it's like we as females, we have to kind of like, I guess, walk that line carefully. You know, it's, we want to be identified and, you know, as a female and also a musician, so that is something to be celebrated. But then on the other hand, we don't want to be limited by it. So it's just a really hard place to be, really. And the other thing too is having to deal with the notion that we're all supposed to be gorgeous, thin, sexy, available. And, you know, again, when you look at the things like the news stories that come out, I mean, what do you see? Hey, you know, so-and-so female celebrity is stunned at 60 in a bikini. You know, I mean, these are things that happen to females. That's the big news story. Hey, she still looks good at 60 in a bikini. Hooray. You know, and of course, yes, that's an accomplishment. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not one way or the other. Like I said, you have to walk that line very elegantly, I guess. You know, it's like, yes, females have their sexuality as part of their traits and what society sees. And then there are some that are just anti that, and they're just as sexy and beautiful. So really, in my opinion, in my experience, if I were just to say this to other female musicians or up-and-comers, is stay on your path. People are going to say things. People are going to not take you seriously, but take yourself seriously and just continue. You will get snubbed. You will be put on the bottom of the list over and over again. You will be called a bitch. You will be called a diva if you speak up, but you have to just rise above that the best you can and realize that the people who are saying those things to you are probably not people you want to work with anyway. If someone's not going to take you seriously, why jump hoops to try and impress them? I don't care if it's a gatekeeper. I mean, I don't like any of that stuff. And if it means that I don't get to play a fest or whatever, you know, yes, it can be disappointing, but in the end, you have you. You have yourself. And those people, and for me, I really value supportive males in music, because those are the ones that we females need on our side as well. You know, not only do we need women on our side, which women, again, another piece of advice, stop being terrible to each other. We all need to lift each other up. And then the good supportive males kind of help. And I don't know, it's just, it's a complicated issue, but that's what I have to say to other female musicians, is that find the good people around you who like you for your music, who don't have expectations that you're going to give them something or any kind of favors or whatever. Just keep going on your own. You'll be recognized for it. It'll be painful. I know. I've been doing it, still am, still fighting that fight. I will be doing it forever. But just keep yourself straight and keep going with your art and music. You will get there. You'll find the people, and they will find you. Again, sorry, that was a very long answer.
No, that's good. That's cool. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that experience and
yeah, it's
being vulnerable.
real life.
Yeah. No, thank you. Now, talking about expressing yourself, you've talked about production in your lyrics. I know you also do paintings as well. Can you talk about how you express yourself differently through painting as well, or what different areas you're able to express?
Yeah, really, I enjoy making things. Any kind of art projects is really fun for me, especially like clothing and things. As far as painting goes, I used to do more of it, but really it's just kind of a free, I usually just kind of do free form, whatever decides to show itself does. And that's another thing that I'm really, as far as giving advice to people, especially artists, is I believe everyone has to get it out, quote unquote, get it out, whatever it is, whether you're physically writing words on paper, or you're physically painting or speaking or singing. I think that's a way to get a lot of these emotions and feelings out of us as far as like artists are concerned, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. So that's kind of like where my painting comes in, is sometimes it's nice to just throw a big splatter of black paint on a white canvas and just use a big brush and just paint up and down and then see where it goes from there. And funny enough, when I started painting, I wanted to do everything as colorful as possible. Like I made a bunch of paintings that were kind of inspired by like Mexican folk art, those wooden figures that were painted very brightly. I loved those. They were so vibrant and fun. And so I started painting that way and took some time off of painting. And now when I paint, I don't want to paint with anything but black or white. So, I don't know what happened, but that's kind of the kick I'm on right now, is I like a lot of black and white.
That's
and
cool.
Occasionally a red, but yeah, it's just another way of getting a quote unquote getting it out, this painting.
Yeah, like a meditative practice and stuff.
Yeah, just let your mind go where it goes.
That's cool. My next question is the legendary musician David J recently posted you and Curse Mackey on his Instagram from, we all know David J from Bajas. I was wondering if you could just tell a little bit about the show story, and then if you're able to talk about the project you're working on.
Yeah, so it was 2019, April 4th in Orlando at the Plaza Live. SINE was the sole opener for Peter Murphy. It was a Peter Murphy Bauhaus Ruby celebration with David J. So it was really amazing because I did not put my name in to open for that show. I was contacted by the promoter and he wrote me and said, I see you're all the way in Texas, but would you want to come to Orlando and open for Peter Murphy?
Hell yeah.
I know. I was like, yes. I said yes immediately, and then I bought our plane tickets that night because it was coming up. I mean, I think the show was like 2 weeks away. I mean, it was really close. It was like 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks or something that the show was happening. And so I said yes. I bought our plane tickets, but I had to wait for an final approval from like Peter and all that. So that took a while, but obviously eventually came through. So we went there, and I guess, some of you that know what happened, Peter Murphy, this was actually a second makeup date for Orlando. So he was sick the first show date. So this was the makeup date. Well, apparently he didn't feel well. I think they had done a tour and he did some other makeup dates. So he was pretty exhausted and had some issues and didn't want to come to the show. So to not, I guess, make everybody so angry, David J kind of took it upon himself and recruited myself and Curse Mackey, my partner, and said, hey, let's go out and do some Bauhaus in dub kind of vibes or whatever. And that's what we did. I did my opening set, and after that, we went back out with David J. and Mark Slutsky on drums and Mark Gemini-Thwaite on guitar. And we just did a little, I don't even know how long the set was, but it was just a really unique, wonderful experience. And it's actually very documented on YouTube if you search.
Yeah, it's great.
J. Orlando SINE or whatever. Yeah. I mean, really, we just like kicked into professional mode. I mean, there was no way we were going to tell David J no, that we're not going out on stage with him.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and that was the beginning of it all. And David J was actually the one that said, oh, maybe perhaps we could have a band here, a new band. And of course, Curse and I were like, yes, because I mean, Love and Rockets is one of my favorite bands ever.
Yeah.
So I was one of these people who knew Love and Rockets before Bauhaus. I caught on late because of where I was born in the time frames of the world. But anyway, so for David J to say that to me,
it's legendary.
To make a band with David J, oh my gosh, that's just crazy. So so after that happened, he really liked Curse and I so much that he invited Curse and I to play with him that year in 2019 in November in Brooklyn for Performa Finale, which Performa is just a big art event that happens in New York. So we agreed to do that. And that was kind of our first time being on stage together as a trio. We also did have a violinist, Heather, was up there with us, but the three of us were the core. So for that particular performance, we made an hour-long musical piece, and there is professional video of it and recording, which we're going to put out at some point. Yeah, so as far as the project goes that we're doing now, we actually started recording it. Let's see. I can't exactly remember when it started, but David had revisited the band thing with Curse and I. And so I went back to all my demos. I have a bunch of demos from SINE or random beats that I made. And I just found a group of them that I didn't necessarily think were SINE songs, but I liked the ideas. So that was the inception of this new project. Was I took all those beats. There's probably 10 or 11 or so things. I think we have 11 songs total. And I passed them over to Curse, and he added some instrumentation and did some arranging. And then we had David come to our house in Austin, and he recorded the bass lines. And then after that, it was on hold for a little bit. And then it wasn't until January of 2020, I believe. Yeah, January 2020, we went to Pasadena and joined our friend Julian Shaw Taylor at his recording studio at his home. And we took our demos and David's bass parts, and we put it all together, and he added some instrumentation and things. So that was kind of like the forming of it. We got several people play on the album. We have Mark Gemini-Thwaite is in there playing guitar on a song. We have Nick Zinner from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. He's on 8 of the songs.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And that was incredible. I have photos. I had to sneak a few photos on the sly while he was recording because I didn't want to be like, "Hi, I'm weird. Can I take your photo while you're playing guitar?" So it was more for us to document just this project. Has been amazing. So Nick's on there. There's a song that I sing that has Alan White, which is Morrissey's guitarist, and he still plays with Morrissey. And I, being a huge Morrissey fan, I have seen Morrissey many, many times, with Alan. So when he came to the studio, I was like, "Hi, I'm a Morrissey fan, and I've seen you, hee hee," and but he was super nice and played some really lovely guitar on a song that I sing. So I'm completely honored to have that, where a song with me. Oh, and also on the track is Adrian Utley from Portishead. So
Wow.
those two guys and me on a song, oh my goodness, so
They're lucky to work with you too, though. I can't wait to hear this.
yeah, I can't wait for you all to hear it too, because we also had Durga, who she is the voice on the Pink Floyd albums. She's Dark Side of the Moon, she's that lady. And she came and recorded some vocals on a song that David J sings on, which is amazing. Really
blowing my mind here, Rona.
Oh,
This is awesome.
Seriously. And God, there are so many people. Oh, we've got, of course, Curse is on there. We all have songs that we sing. So David has his, Curse has a few, and I have some. So it's kind of like an equal pairing of all of us three with these other guest artists and things. I mean, I can't wait for it to come out. But yes, so he was here at our home just recently, this end of January. So this project has been just drawn out because David J wanted to wait for Bauhaus to finish touring so that he could roll this out. But we all know how that all went, just Bauhaus kind of fell apart. And so decided to get back on this. And he came here with our one of our friends, Chase Dobson, who works a lot with Curse on music. He's worked with me a few times. But he came here, took over the files, and we mixed it all here at our house with David and him. Yeah. And of course, they arrived when there was a very rare ice storm here in Austin.
Oh, yeah.
So, needless to say, we were all just stuck all snugly in the house. Like, it was too cold to go outside, couldn't take a walk. So, we got a lot of work done. But the project is called Shiva Saves. And that is a name that David J chose, because I think someone might have commented when we had the Orlando, thing happen. Someone said, "Oh, Shiva saves again," or something, or Shiva was there for you or something. And so that's kind of what really kicked it off for David. And he said, "Oh, we'll call it that."
That's cool. Shiva's powerful. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we are very excited to put this out. I'm not quite sure when yet. We're getting some things together. And as far as like live shows go, I would love to see live shows in 2024, but we'll kind of see how it develops, because David's got his own things happening. But yeah, this year will be a good year for us to just kind of grow and kind of pave the way for the new project. But
yeah,
I think it's great.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the story on the project. So cool, exciting, just awesome. Congratulations. And
thank you.
I really like that after y'all did the show, he said we made champagnes out of lemons.
That's
I love
right.
that. I love it.
Yeah, because it was getting a little weird, I mean, the police showed up too. It was crazy.
Dang, yeah, I could see people, potentially being mad, but it sounds like they were really pleased with it. And the performance I saw was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, we were happy that I would say most of the people stayed. Some of them, the upper balcony was kind of like left, but we had a great crowd. We were happy with it. And here we are with the band with David J, which is just like blows my mind, because I'm gonna say, in my opinion, I love what we put together, and I think it's dare I say, as good as Love and Rockets.
Why not?
I don't know, because they're so legendary, but I think it rivals some Love and Rockets stuff. Like, not in a competition way, but I'm just saying it's very exciting and energetic and cool. So
yes, it's part of the same tree now. Like it's all from that garden. So yeah, it's yeah. And you all added your stuff, which is awesome. So it's great. Can't wait.
I think all of our influences put together just really made for great music.
So my last two questions are, if I was wondering, like, Chris Mackey's your partner, you collab, tour together. I was wondering if you could kind of talk about how that works. I think that's really cool, and that you're also playing South by Southwest soon. And also, what are you working on next, along with the David J stuff?
Yeah. So as far as Curse and I goes, it works out really great because we both have our own bands. You know, I'm SINE and he's Curse Mackey. When I go on tour with him, for like when he's opening for Thrill Kill Cult or when he was opening for Clan of Zymox or any other shows that he's done, kind of got a head start to kind of see how everything works. And because I had that experience with him and we've been on the road together, we start to learn how to be on the road better, if that makes sense. It's kind of like find ways to make our lives easier on the road as far as like lugging gear or finding hotels or car, whatever. He's been really great about that. And I think we just really help each other out. He does a lot of the arranging of hotels and things. He does a lot of the travel stuff. And then I'm the one that's like, we need luggage straps. Here's like a collapsible water bottle. I do all those extra little things like, hey, we need this little merch light that flattens out into the size of a credit card or whatever. Whatever random thing that helps you on the road is what I always look for, or I look for ways that we can arrange our gear better. So it's like we're kind of a team in that way. I help kind of refine some of the details, and he takes care of a lot of the bigger chunks of traveling and routing and things like that. So for us to go out together is actually really great because there's two bands and we're pretty much each other's tech and each other's roadie. So, it's like you get a lot with just the two of us. If anyone ever wanted a touring partner, you've got two bands between the two of us. So anyway,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it really works out great. And then also with collabing on music, again, we have kind of like his and her studios, and we're across the hall from each other. So we could literally wire ourselves to each other if we wanted to, which we have done before, working on just random beats and things like that. So I like collaborating with him. I have a few demos that I might pass his way to add some things because he has a good industrial flavor going on, and I like he adds a little more aggression to certain things. So it's really fun collabing with him. But as far as what I'm doing now, yes, currently just getting ready to go on the road again to Portland and Seattle, and Kirsten and I are doing shows there together, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then after that, we'll come back, and he has a South by Southwest show on the 16th, and I have mine on the 15th. And this is my first time being accepted to South by Southwest, so I'm excited. It's going to be great. And I think I'm going to be part of a really nice showcase. So.
Yeah, they're lucky to have you.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's going to be great.
We'll see. I haven't gotten my time slot yet, so who knows? But I think that this is a night showcase. So, and
nice.
Yeah, I think I'll be playing with Patriarchy. I don't know. I don't know the full lineup, but I'm excited about it because for me, it's all about growth and finding new people. I don't always like to be safe and stay in the same corners, That's why I think that a lot of SINE music offers itself for crossover and for varied situations. And I guess that segues into what I'm working on now as far as like music goes. I'm just collecting demos currently because I think probably maybe starting in May or so, I think I'll begin more SINE production as far as like new music goes. I already have a title for the next album. I've had it for a while now. It's now just a matter of writing the music to go with it. And I know that might be kind of weird to do.
That's cool.
Backwards. But, and I think I'm going to be working with Klaus Larson of Leatherstrip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I am very excited about because after he did the remix of Control, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, you two sound great together.
Oh, yeah. He's awesome.
It's perfect.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love his production, and he's got a great, like, dancey, but I like the dancey, aggressive kind of thing. I like the sounds he uses. So I did get to meet him at Mechanismus Fest in Seattle last year, I think. And he was like, oh, I really loved your doing your remixes, one of my favorites. So we really hit it off, and he's
nice.
a complete sweetheart. And so I'm really excited to work with him. But that's really what's coming up. And then I have another collaboration working with someone, again, from that past when I was loving Rockets. I loved all these other bands too. And that's all I can say currently.
Nice. That's exciting.
But it's someone that I'm like, what? Seriously. But anyway, I'm doing a collab with a super secret someone that maybe I'll be able to talk about soon. But I don't know. For those of you that follow SINE on Instagram or whatever, I may drop a couple hints here and there, or you might see a certain person that kind of ends up on my profile, and you might go, So that's all I can say as far as hints go.
Okay. We'll link to all your socials too on the episode notes.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you for listening to Emergency Hearts Dispatches. Please find SINE's links in the show notes and get her music. Please support Emergency Hearts on Patreon, share this podcast around, and let us know if you have any show suggestions. Contact us on Instagram at Emergency Hearts.